Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking at a massively unfolding mystery today surrounding a highly decorated military intelligence officer. His sudden death? Well, it's just sparked a major federal investigation into claims of a massive UFO cover-up. We're going to explore this wild narrative derived straight from recent news reports, congressional hearings, and official statements. Honestly, whether you're a hardcore skeptic or a total believer, the sheer scale of these allegations and the actual real-world consequences playing out in Washington right now are absolutely captivating. Section 1. A mysterious sudden death. So we have to begin with a genuinely startling event that really rocked Washington. We're talking about the death of a man who was allegedly just months away from exposing a massive government secret. So who was Matthew James Sullivan? Well, affectionately known as Quake to his peers, he was definitely not your average military veteran. He was a 39-year-old Air Force intelligence officer, actually awarded a Bronze Star for valor during Operation Enduring Freedom. But his resume goes way deeper than that. Sullivan held incredibly sensitive high-level posts at the NSA, DARPA, and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He even spent significant time at the National Air and Space Intelligence Center. Simply put, this means he was operating in literally the most secure, classified environments the United States government has to offer. He wasn't some guy on the fringes. He was right in the beating heart of the intelligence apparatus. And this brilliantly illustrates his standing in the intelligence community. At Sullivan's funeral, retired Major General David Abba, who, by the way, formerly directed the Department of Defense Special Access Program Central Office, spoke these exact words. He noted that Sullivan carried the burden that a select few in this nation have of truly understanding what's going on. Wow, it really emphasizes the intense, isolating pressure of the secrets Sullivan kept. It begs the huge question, what exactly did he understand that the rest of us don't? Fast forward to May 12, 2024. Sullivan was found dead in his home in Falls Church, Virginia. The medical examiner officially ruled it an accidental overdose, caused by a highly unusual and lethal cocktail. We're talking alcohol mixed with alprazolam, which is an anti-anxiety med, cyclobenzaprine, a really powerful muscle relaxant, and imipramine, an older antidepressant that, oddly enough, is also used to treat bedwetting in kids. To a lot of observers, seeing an elite intelligence officer accidentally ingesting this highly specific, fatal combination of prescription drugs, well, it immediately raised a ton of red flags. Now, the context of this tragedy is really what transformed it into a full-blown national security incident. Let's look at the timeline. Back in June 2023, the UFO whistleblower movement basically exploded into the mainstream. Then, Matthew Sullivan died in May of 2024. But here's the kicker. According to sources cited in recent reports, he had already formally agreed to testify to Congress just a few months later, in November 2024, about a legacy UFO crash retrieval program. He was allegedly prepping to tell lawmakers exactly what he had personally seen. So the timing of his death, cutting off that crucial testimony right before it could happen, has, understandably, raised some serious suspicions. Section 2. The UFO Whistleblower Movement. To really grasp the immense weight of Sullivan's planned testimony, we've got to zoom out for a second and look at the broader disclosure movement that he was actually an integral part of. Sullivan didn't just operate in a vacuum. He was a close associate of David Grush. Now, Grush is a former Air Force intelligence officer who completely shattered the silence back in June 2023. He alleged that the U.S. government, working alongside private aerospace companies, was actively concealing a highly secretive, multi-decade UFO or UAP retrieval and reverse engineering operation. Grush even claimed he was facing threats just for speaking out. And reportedly, these two men knew each other quite well, which links Sullivan directly to the absolute core of these explosive whistleblower allegations. Section 3. Claims of non-human tech. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding exactly what Grush and allegedly what Sullivan claimed the government is hiding from all of us. What's the actual secret? Well, 40. That's the number of witnesses David Grush stated he interviewed over a 4-year period while working on the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. He testified under oath to Congress that his really alarming conclusions weren't just based on some random hunch. No. They were built on exhaustive, detailed interviews with these 40 individuals, and many of them, he said, were still actively working inside these covert programs. This wasn't presented as some fringe internet theory. This was the culmination of an official, internal government investigation. And he went even further during that highly publicized congressional hearing in July 2023. Grush stated, again under oath, that the U.S. government has actually recovered non-human biologics from these crash sites. Notice he carefully used the exact term non-human, rather than say alien or extraterrestrial. However, he did explicitly note that he couldn't provide any classified physical evidence to the public in an open setting. He said he could only disclose the specific locations and evidence within a highly secure facility, known as a SIF. Section 4. The skeptics push back. But we have to ask, is this truly a massive, coordinated cover-up spanning decades, or is it just a tragic echo chamber of misinformation? To really grasp the source material of this explainer, we absolutely have to look at both sides impartially. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. On one side, you have whistleblowers alleging this vast conspiracy to hide non-human technology. But on the exact opposite side, you have the Department of Defense, NASA, and numerous leading scientists explicitly stating there is zero verifiable material evidence of extraterrestrial visitation, period. The Pentagon's Anomaly Resolution Office has stated firmly that they haven't discovered a single piece of verifiable information to substantiate these claims of reverse engineering programs. And this skeptical perspective is perfectly captured by Sean Kirkpatrick. He's the former director of the government's official UFO investigation office, known as AARO. He basically calls the whistleblower claims a textbook example of circular reporting, and he even borrows a pretty classic Pentagon phrase, a self-licking ice cream cone. Kirkpatrick essentially argues that there is no malicious government conspiracy hiding aliens. Instead, he suggests that a small group of interconnected true believers are just inadvertently misinterpreting completely legitimate, highly classified earthly research and development programs, and then there's something echoing those same misinterpretations right back to each other. Furthermore, leading scientists and astrophysicists stand firmly in that skeptical camp. The scientific consensus really just boils down to a very simple demand: show me the spaceship. Experts point out that science relies on forensic testable evidence. Like an actual physical alloy that could be rigorously analyzed in a lab, not just on hearsay or blurry documents. And despite decades of similar whistleblower claims dating all the way back to the 1950s, scientists remind us that we still haven't been shown a single piece of verified alien hardware. As the old saying goes, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Section 5. The Missing Scientists Probe. Which brings us right back to the climax of our mystery. Because if the skeptics are right, if there really is no physical evidence, and this is literally all just a big misunderstanding of earthly tech, why are highly cleared personnel suddenly dying or disappearing? 13, or possibly 14. According to statements made by Representative Eric Burlison, Matthew Sullivan is not just an isolated case. He might actually be the 13th or 14th highly cleared aerospace or nuclear scientist to die or go missing under mysterious circumstances recently. We are talking about top-tier individuals connected to the Air Force, NASA, and the Department of Energy. Suddenly, this number shifts the entire narrative from a single tragic overdose to a potential terrifying pattern that has lawmakers deeply alarmed. In fact, the alarm reached such a high pitch that Representative Burlison sent an official letter directly to FBI Director Kash Patel back in April of 2024. Burlison explicitly requested an investigation into Sullivan's death, citing grave national security implications. He pointed out that Sullivan was actively preparing to provide testimony to Congress, which makes the sudden and suspicious circumstances surrounding his death a matter of potential foul play. Plus, it raises very real fears for the safety of any other whistleblowers who might be thinking about stepping forward. And the government? Well, they're taking this incredibly seriously. The FBI has officially confirmed that they are spearheading a massive multi-agency effort. They're working right alongside the Department of Energy and the Department of War to look for any potential connections between these tragic incidents involving missing and deceased scientists. Now, while the FBI does maintain a strict policy of not commenting on specific cases like Matthew Sullivan's, just the mere existence of this joint task force confirms that the U.S. government sees a pattern here that is absolutely worth investigating. So, as we wrap up this explainer, we are left staring at a deeply unsettling paradox. Are these simply tragic, isolated incidents of brilliant minds just buckling under the immense psychological pressure of their highly classified work? Or is there a much, much darker truth hiding behind the government's official statements? Let's be real. If there truly is no cover-up, why do the people closest to the secrets keep disappearing? I highly encourage you to keep questioning, keep learning, and definitely pay close attention to where this investigation leads next. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.